Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. Today is 25th December. Merry Christmas to all my dear friends and God bless you all. With this, our pen drive and tablet courses. At present, a big Christmas sale is going on. Today is the last date. So make the most out of this flat 60% off that is going on. Today is Tuesday. We have many important articles on our table. The first one is course correction. This one is about GST. We have already talked about GST Council's 31st meeting that took place last Saturday. Our discussion, we held it on Sunday's analysis. So if you are new to this thing, then I will recommend you guys to go through the Sunday's lecture. Now, we can find many feel-good moves. Remember, so many items that were under this 28% slab. Now they are taken under 18% slab, and only two items. One is cement. Cement is an item that is considered as a common use item, and the other is, of course, auto part, again a common use item. So these two items, from cement, government gets about 13,000 crore rupees, right? 13,000 crore rupees, and from auto parts, government gets some 20,000 crore rupees. So here we are talking about what, 33,000 crore rupees. So that's a big thing. So if you remove or if you take or shift this cement and auto parts from 28 to 18% or maybe 12 or 5, then that is going to have a significant impact on revenue collection of government. So this is one of the main reasons why these two items are still in 28% slab. Apart from that, we have talked about movie tickets. You know that earlier on you used to pay 28% about a movie ticket that is about 100 rupees, but now we are paying, or we will have to pay just 18%. So that's not bad. So in general, these are feel good moves. When I say feel good moves, there are so many items. Only these two common use items are in 28%. So rest of the other items are feel good. Now for business, more time has been granted for filing this year's annual return. So that is point number one in favor of business. And the second thing is from next year, that is from July 2019, simpler return filing system will come into existence from next year. So that's, again, these are the two big good news for businesses. As far as revenue collection is concerned, there is a bit of I would say worry that was observed in the statement as well as decisions of GST Council. And the GST Council has formed a group of ministers, and this will be assisted by a particular agency, and with the help of this consultation, and they will go through this revenue collection trends, and they will go through some minor details, and they will do a proper analysis, and will find out like what's the reason behind this fall, or why from last many months consistently we are missing this GST collection target. And once this particular group, once its report is ready, it will file this report to GST Council, and based on this thing, GST Council will take its decision. GST rationalization for faster refunds and other mechanisms to ease their cash flow is also decided, and this was a big trouble, particularly for exporters. Remember, and cash flow is your working capital, is very important. Like say for example, every month, if you are running a business, every month if you need 1 lakh rupees on your hand or in your bank, to pay your salaries and to order goods, right, to pay your bills and everything. And out of this 1 lakh rupees, if say for example 20,000 rupees is blocked by government, then that's going to leave you with 80,000 rupees. So you have to struggle, and many times if you are in big business like exporters, they have to borrow money from private lenders, so that will impact their profit. So refund, right, a timely refund is important for cash flow, for as a working capital, for smooth operation of a business. At the same time, it is a confidence booster as well. Now revenue and optics, it looks like these are the two most important things, when it comes to GST Council, because the nature of goods or services to be taxed is something that is missing here. We find that the more focus is on revenue collection and the other focus is on optics. And optics, one of the reason is it could be that general election is just around the corner. So things that are more visible, things that are I would say that will be discussed more, like movie tickets, and there are other things, so televisions and all these things. So these are the things that people generally talk about. But when it comes to, like, say, example, real estate, right, cement is a very commonly used item, and 28% is too much. So even if a poor person wants to construct his or her house, then that is going to cost, it's going to be very high. It's going to be dear because of this 28% tax on cement. But this is something that we don't generally talk about. We talk about mostly these other items, right? So revenue and optics, these are the two reasons, or these are the two things that are more visible rather than nature of goods or services. The Prime Minister announced impending cuts in the 28% slab and reacted positively to film industry's demand for lower GST. We have already talked about tickets. And last item is that when we have these frequent changes, tweaks, it gives a very negative signal to investors and corporates, because, say for example, if you are producing an item that is for masses, you are in a business of price competition, like you are producing items that are the unique selling proposition is the price of that item, and if the tax slab is increased from, say, 18% to 28%, right, then that is going to ruin your business, your investment, and your whole plan will fail. So investors, right, they like to operate in an environment where the tax structure is more predictable. And here we can see that from many meetings, we have seen so many items, the nature has changed. So that's a matter of concern for investors, and we need to be we need to work on this thing. We cannot keep on changing things time to time. Of course, we are adjusting ourselves, but this is also sending a negative signal. We have to keep this thing in mind as well. Now, the second one is a disquieting exit. This one is about the person that you can see on your screen. On top, you have James Mattis. James Mattis was Defense Secretary, or you can also say Defense Minister of USA. Many of you will remember him from this 2+2 meeting. He was here in our country, and last week a news that we got from USA is that he has resigned, right? He is going to step down, and one of the main reasons why he is going to step down is because he is not happy with this decision of Mr. Trump that he took whilst he was having a telephone conversation. Mr. Trump and Recep Erdogan, they were having a telephone conversation, and at that point of time, Mr. Trump decided that he is going to withdraw. He's going to bring back all those troops or soldiers, US soldiers that are deployed in Syria. For USA, this war against ISIS is over, and Mr. Erdogan as well would like to see that US troops go back as soon as possible. So this is something with which then Defense Secretary James Mattis was not happy about. James Mattis said that we need to keep our forces over there. Mr. Trump said that we need to pull them back, and this is one of the main reasons. Now, why Turkey is, or why this thing took place, or why this, whilst having conversation with Turkey, Mr. Trump decided this thing. Because if you go through this area, you find this white portion is a portion that was historically, it belonged to, or you find this Kurdish areas, right, in history chapters or in history maps. You find this white portion belonged to Kurdish people. Then we have in 1919 proposed Kurdish border, and today you have Kurdish people in various different parts of see here, this various different in parts of Turkey. You have in portion of Syria, in Iraq and Iran. It is only in Iraq where they have this proper independent, you can say, autonomous region. In Syria as well, they have a small pocket where they have local government, but city level government. And Kurdish people played a very important role in fighting against ISIS, and the USA supported Kurdish people, and Kurdish people worked like, you can say, foot soldiers for USA, and they fought bravely against ISIS, and 95% of ISIS area in Syria is gone now, and the same thing goes with Iraq as well. Their stronghold has vanished because of this Kurdish, and this Kurdish people were backed by USA. Now, last year in 2017, there was this referendum for Kurdistan, And this referendum took place here in Iraq. So just imagine if Kurdish people are asking for an independent country called Kurdistan over here, then other Kurdish people living in this border area, they are also going to demand the same thing. So countries like Iran, Syria, Turkey, they have to give away their land portion, isn't it, for this Kurdistan. And this is something that Turkey is not happy about. Meetings took place between Turkey and this Kurdish people, but it went bad. And there were a few these attacks on each other's side, and so many people lost their lives. And Turkish government has declared Kurdish people as terrorists, right? So this is one of the main reasons why Turkey wants to see that the US soldiers are not here in Syria, so that Turkey can control this portion here, particularly the portion that the Syrian portion, right? That they have this border with Syria. They share a border with Syria, so they don't want any trouble in the bordering area. So this is the main interest of Recep Erdogan, and this is the reason why this James Mattis was not happy with Mr. Trump. He said that if we pull back these US troops, then Kurdish people, they will feel that they are betrayed, and then Turkish government can go heavy hand on them, and this will give an opportunity for ISIS to again rise up. So this decision can have a negative impact on this region as well as the globe as well. Mr. Shanahan has been, he was deputy of Mr. Mattis, and now he's going to look after this Department of Defense, or he's going to be this acting. At present, he's a sort of temporary defense secretary, so he knows exactly what happened with his boss, and he should be prepared for this thing as well, because this is a very negative signal that we are getting from Mr. Trump. So many important players are out now. They have resigned, and now this James Mattis is considered as an adult in the room. That means he is more experienced. You can see him wearing a uniform. He has worked in Afghanistan. He has worked in Iraq. He has been there. So he knows the ground reality. He knows this thing very well because he has been there. He has served there for a very long period of time. But it's unfortunate that we see this sort of things at a very high level in USA. Now moving on to next item, it's about the case against surveillance. Last week, a Ministry of Home Affairs notification authorized 10 central agencies to intercept, monitor and decrypt online communications and data. And of course, this has caused a sort of a furor in both parliament and wider civil society. What we are seeing here is that India is trying to project itself, and India is trying to, become a surveillance state. It wants to put its nose in our personal life, and this is something that is not acceptable. Now, ministry has said, or government has said, that this is not a blank check. Of course, specific surveillance requests will have to go through this MHF first, and then only they can go ahead with it. But if we go through some items or analysis that we find here, some points, right, very interesting points that we find here in this article, we realize that that's not the case. There are so many things that we need to improve. Like when it comes to surveillance, we have one Telephone Surveillance Act, or telephone surveillance can be conducted under this Telegraph Act of 1885, and all the rules associated with this 1885 Telegraph Act. Under this, government can keep our telephonic conversation under surveillance. When it comes to electronic surveillance, we are talking about our, WhatsApp and everything else, or other things, whatever things that can be, can be kept under surveillance, all these emails and other things. So this can be done under this Information Technology Act of 2000 and rules associated with it. Now, surveillance requests, you have to understand this thing, that both this A and B, right, it has to go through, it should get a green signal from a joint secretary level officer. So you'd be thinking, right, that's a fair deal, but that's not a fair deal, because the problem is that if we go through these three features of current regime, we find that it is bureaucratized. So there is no parliamentary or judicial supervision. the decision will be taken by joint secretary, and an individual will almost never know, right? You and I will never know if we have ever been under surveillance, or if we are going through surveillance. Then we never know, because you're never informed. Of course, that is the main case for surveillance, but the other thing is that you cannot challenge it as well, because there is no, you can say, parliamentary oversight over it or judicial supervision. So that's a very opaque system. The other thing is, under section 69 of IT Act, the grounds of surveillance have been simply lifted from Article 19, Sub-Article 2 of Constitution. So friendly relations with foreign states, sovereignty and integrity of India. So these are very broad as well as vague terms. Can fit anything under this: friendly relations with foreign state and sovereignty and integrity of India. So it gives you a sort of upper hand. It gives government an upper hand when it comes to putting you under surveillance. The other thing is, there is almost no information available about the basis on which surveillance decisions are taken and how the legal standards are applied. If you go through this RTI answer of 2014, we find that on regular basis 250 surveillance requests are approved. So it's more mechanical rather than independent application of mind. So these are few points here. These are basically 3 points we have discussed, 3 features. This one is the first one, the second one is this one, too vague, and the third one is this one, that is no information available. So while examining this US National Security Agency's program, this PRISM program, the court in USA observed that out of these 50 instances where terrorist attacks have been prevented, not even a single successful preemption was based on material collected from this NSA's PRISM or this surveillance regime. That means it's not that successful in USA as well. Like 50 cases, right? Out of this, not even a single case was supported, or not even a single terror attack was averted with the help of this PRISM, that is this surveillance regime. So if we are thinking that by adding this thing we can save ourselves, or we can protect ourselves, or it will work as a shield for us against terrorism, then that's not the case. The existing surveillance framework is unconstitutional and must be reconsidered. The other problem is, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to get piles and piles of information. So too much of information is of no use. And privacy, is Puttaswamy versus Union of India case, the right to privacy case, remember? So in this case, it has been said that when you want to keep someone under surveillance, then you have to go with minimal infringement, right? A surveillance regime cannot have this executive sitting in judgment over executive. There must be parliamentary oversight over the agencies that conduct surveillance, and you should be as minimum as possible when it comes to fundamental rights. So every act of surveillance will have to be, you have to justify it. It should have someone, check and balance is one of the most important thing. We cannot allow this sort of free hand to our government. And last thing, across the world, there is an increasingly urgent debate about how to protect basic rights against encroachment by aggressive and intrusive state, which wields the rhetoric of national security like sword. So if it has not been successful in USA, it has been using it, one of the most experienced country when it comes to surveillance, because she used to run the biggest surveillance program in the world. And if that one was a big failure, then why we are thinking that we can get something out of this, or we will get this big success out of it? We have to use it, right? Intelligence bureau, military, defense necessity, security necessity. You have to trace those people, but you need to have a bit of opposition as well. If you are going there to request, or if you want some permission from maybe judiciary to conduct surveillance on someone, then there should be one opposing party as well. When I say opposing party, that party should act as a filter to make sure that government is not, because judge will take decision based on the things that you present. So judge is going to be as technical as possible, but you need to have a filter that will make sure that government's motive is not snooping or some other thing, if it is pure business in the sense, if you know something fishy is going on and if you need to do it for national security, then that's the only thing for which you should get permission for. Moving on to next item, a solution in search of a problem. This is about judiciary, particularly lower judiciary. Now, Niti Aayog came out with this strategy for New India at 75, and it has proposed this idea of all India judicial services for lower judiciary vacancies. And it has said that UPSC should conduct examination of this AIJS, that is all India judicial services, something similar to all India services like IAS, IPS and other services, forest services, right? You have, these are the three services that we have as all India services. So they want to add this judicial services as well. So this was also recommended by Law Minister. He said that there are two problems that we are facing with lower judiciary. As per Law Minister, the first one is vacancy and the second one is marginalized communities are not represented, or there is lack of representation of marginalized communities. So he said that AIJS can sort this thing out. So let's see whether this idea of Niti Aayog, UPSC conducting exam and these two problems highlighted by Law Minister, whether we can sort it out with the help of this AIJS or not. Now, there is this assumption that state governors, high courts and state public service commissions are not performing well, they are inefficient. But if we go through Maharashtra, we find that out of 2,280 sanctioned posts, only 64 posts are vacant. In West Bengal, out of 1,013, only 18 posts are vacant. And if we go through this court news is released, it's a publication by Supreme Court. So as per this court news, many states are doing a very efficient job when it comes to recruiting lower courts. There are a few bad examples like Uttar Pradesh. Out of 3,204 sanctions posts, you have 1,348. Roughly half posts are empty. So that's a matter of concern. This also indicates that in our country we have this mix, or we have this few states, or most of them are performing very well as per many states, as been said by the Supreme Court in its court news. That is a publication, as I told you, of Supreme Court. So many states are doing very well. There are a few states they are performing very bad. So we cannot just rely on these bad states and then we cannot assume that AIJS will sort out everything for us. The other thing is, if we go through UPSC, right? UPSC is a good institution. Of course, it's clean, reasonably clean, but we cannot say that it is performing Sigma 6 or it's flawless. There is a 22% vacancy in IAS as well, and army officers are recruited using UPSC, and there are some 7,298 vacancies. So if you think that UPSC can sort out this vacancy issue, then that's not right. We can clearly see it has failed in these two items. There are 12 states, they provide caste-based reservation in direct recruitment examination for district judges from the bar, and there are you don't get women, they don't get reservation in this all India services, so they are going to lose this thing if we go ahead with the AIJS. The other thing is there are OBCs, there are SC, STs, or particularly OBCs, right? They do get this reservation and benefits, various state government jobs, but that we have a different list of OBCs for states and different list for central government. So many OBCs, they are going to be left out. They will lose their reservation if we go ahead with the AIJS. So again, when our Law Minister is saying that we will, proportion or this marginalized communities there is lack of representation, so that cannot be achieved. And vacancies, we have already seen the performance of UPSC. And we have this Article 233 and 234 of the Constitution vested all powers of recruitment and appointments with the State Public Service Commission and High Courts when it comes to lower judiciary. Now, during emergency, Parliament amended Article 312 of the Constitution to allow for the Rajya Sabha to pass a resolution by 2/3 majority. And once the resolution has been passed with the help of 2/3 majority, then you can go ahead with creating new All India service. So it can create this All India Judicial Service, and once this resolution is passed, then states cannot resist it. So we have to be a bit careful here, right? More analysis is required. If we can see, if the Supreme Court is saying that, many a times Supreme Court has been not happy with this total vacancies that it was reported, but There are best states, good examples, good states, right? Their governors, their high courts, their state PCs, public service commissions are performing very well. So how about replicating their best practices in other states? With this, dear friends, next item is implementing implementing Nota. So we have done with this one. Now we are going to go with this one. This one is not that important, and we'll quickly have a quick glance over this one. So Nota, right? None of the above option. It was introduced by Supreme Court back in 2013. September 27th to be precise, and the Supreme Court ruled that none of the above or Nota option may be provided in EVMs, so that voters are able to exercise their right not to vote while maintaining the right to secrecy. When this was introduced, many people thought that if we have more Nota out of, say for example, if you have an election and out of 10,000 votes, right, we are just taking this hypothetical example, person A has got, let me do it on a clean screen for you guys. So let's say that we have total 10,000 votes. Out of this 10,000 votes, you have, let's distribute it. So we have this Nota here. So let's assume that person A or candidate A has got 3,000 votes, and candidate B has got 2,000, and 5,000 voters have gone for, or they have opted for Nota. So clearly we can see that maximum people, majority, are not happy with A, and they are not happy with B either. But then as well, A will win. Even A has got 3,000 votes, he has got more than what B has got, and he will win. So that's a bit unfair, isn't it? So that is not, we can say that this election is not representing majority view. So on October 2013, this election commission said that if we have this sort of situation, the situation that I have explained, that the highest number of votes will be a person or candidate with the highest number of votes will be declared as winner. So that defeats the whole, you can say, purpose of this Nota. And this Nota option, is at present it is like wasting your vote. If you don't like candidates, then even if you go for Nota, then that's not going to do anything. All you are doing is you feel that you have done something, but it is not creating any sort of result. So what we need is, if we have like same situation, right, A, B and Nota, and if we have like 3, 2 and 5 out of 10, then what we can do is we can go for re-election. Maharashtra government was the first one to say that this thing is not fair. We need this. If you have more Nota, then need to go for re-election. Haryana government said that rather than, yes, re-election is good, but those candidates, this A and B, should not be allowed to, refile their nomination or contest the re-election once they are, once they have been in this situation. So this will force this political parties to field candidates who are known for their integrity, and this can help us in cleaning our elections. So that's a very important point in this editorial. And now last one is about China. December 1978, Communist Party of India, Communist Party of China's meeting took place in this third plenary session. At that point of time, Deng Xiaoping came out with so many ideas. He basically came out with this vision of turning this agricultural based economy into a manufacturing powerhouse for the world. And we know today they are celebrating like 40th anniversary, and look at the size of China. It has got world's largest foreign reserve, $3.05 trillion, second largest economy, $12.2 trillion. Earlier on in 1978, 40 years ago, the share of China's China's economy, world economy, and China's share was 1.8. Today is 18.2%. So you can imagine how huge China is now. And upper middle class, clash with other peasants and migrant workers. Their views are used to be a bit different, and now things have changed. They came out with this experimentary laboratories. When I say laboratories, I'm not talking about those scientific laboratories. I'm talking about this special economic zones, and they came out with so many pilot projects. And if a pilot project has produced a result somewhere, then this will be replicated in different parts of China. And that's what they did. People were looking for job. They were looking for, coming out of poverty, and this manufacturing hub provided this thing, this SEZ laboratories, and these experiments and bold decisions. provided this opportunity for these people of China, and now we can see that there are so many people, they are out of poverty now in China, and now they are in so-called middle class. And later on, earlier on, food, water, house, cloth, all these basic things were their necessity. Now they have got everything, they have got house and everything, so now they are asking for some more, and Chinese government is ready to provide this. Like air pollution was a big case, but now Chinese government is doing very well when it comes to air pollution. When it comes to its bureaucracy, right, internal report cards are issued, and based on their performance, their promotion and bonuses are fixed. So local bureaucrats, they are always on their toes. They have to perform if they want to move ahead. So they have reformed, they have done many things, and because of this thing, China is where it is now. And I have discussed this thing with you guys, that S&T, that is science and technology, is one of the most important thing. They invested in S&T, and this is one of the main reason why they are here. With this, dear friends, let's quickly go through 3 important news items. The first one is on the first page. You find that Nawaz Sharif is being jailed for 7 years in corruption case. So that's a big news from Pakistan. And the second one is 8 killed as many hurt in Haryana pileup, Haryana pileup due to fog. So that's again a bad news coming from Haryana accident. And then we have the center wants fake news traced and removed. So here you have one infographic. That's everything in today's discussion. We are running out of time. Enjoy your Christmas. This is your vocabulary, and you can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students, and don't forget to hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. God bless you all. Again, Jai Hind.